down here in the basement. Most of the hunting seasons have come to a close for big game animals in most places in North America and Canada. There are still a few hunts, wolf hunts, stuff like that, if a guy wanted to go on those. But for in general, basically the archery seasons are pretty well over with. With that said, it's not a downtime. This is a time when you're a bow hunter 365 days a year. Right now, if you get on your social media programs, I have here on mine where a local archery shop is starting a new league, Archery Field and Sport. They're starting a new league on Thursday the 22nd. Everybody's welcome. You know, that keeps your skills fine-tuned, and you meet a lot of nice people, and you can work out some problems if you have one. Maybe another archer had the same problem, and you can get together and resolve them. I'm here in the basement fletching up some old arrows that I had. I finally have the downtime to where I can do that, and the patience. I'll bring new life into those old arrows, and I'll probably go rabbit hunting with them on something like that. It's pretty cheap ammunition, and there's nothing more fulfilling and satisfying than fletching your own arrows and actually seeing the flight of them. So that's something you can do right in your basement. Another thing, if you live here in Iowa, you're going to have to get a new hunting license, general hunting license, because they expired on January 10th. So you can get that going for you. Another important item, if you're planning on going to Canada this year, if you booked a hunt, be it a caribou hunt, moose hunt, bear hunt, whatever, you've got all that done. Now here's a major component. You're going to have a passport. And so you better get online and get all your information and get this here passport moving, because sometimes it can take a long time. And don't wait till the last minute, because then you may not get there on time and you may not get your passport, and your hunt might go south before you even get there. And keep in mind, these passports have an expiration date on them. Make sure you read what expiration date it is, because mine's on in June 17. Now that can creep up on you real quick, and then if you neglect to read that ever so often, you wouldn't know that. You get to the border and be denied access of leaving the United States. Another thing, if you're going to Canada up in Ontario, they issue an outdoors card, and this really speeds things up when you're standing in line trying to get your bear tag, moose tag, or whatever. You can just give them this card and they swipe it and all your information's on it. It makes it real simple. If you don't have one of these, get online, get it ordered, and if you have one, get it renewed. So there's things that you can do right in your basement that needs to be done, and you have the time. It's not a time to be down, it's a time to be aggressive in getting these chores done, per se. A lot of people want to sit around and cry about it, blah, blah, blah. That's not a time to be whining. It's a time to be dining with all the things you have to do. I have a full table of things I have to do, and it all pertains to bow hunting. And on that subject of going out of country or out of state, Wyoming's elk license deadline would be January 31st. So if you're planning on that, you better get the lead out and get that money in and get the application applied for it. Whether you draw a preference point or not, January 31st is the cutoff. And those dates creep up on you because you don't realize that. And next time you find out that you snoozed, you lose. And so don't let that happen. Stay aggressive, just as aggressive as if you were in the field. Read up, if you're going to a different province or a different state, read the rules and regulations so you're really up to speed on what you can do and what you can't do. Because a lot of times you'll find stuff that you can do in your state that's not acceptable in another state. And you may be just fine with the equipment you have in your state or province, and find when you leave that state or province you are in law violation. So read those. Now's the time to do that. Let's see, another thing to do is plan ahead. If you're a Pope and Young member, now's the time to get your airplane tickets ordered for the 2015 Phoenix event. If you're a local archery club member, the IBA, their spring banquet is February 28th. It's time to get those tickets ordered. They have a deadline on that ticket order, so you don't want to be left out. So you want to be pretty aggressive on that stuff, and there's always things to do pertaining to your hunt. Whitetails Unlimited, they'll have several different banquets around the country. You may go to several different ones if you can catch one, maybe in Minnesota, Illinois, Missouri, Nebraska, Kansas, wherever. You may be able to drive there and take in several different Whitetail Unlimited banquets. So there's, like I say, it's just a multitude of things to do where your imagination is your limitation. So if you don't have a very good imagination, you're going to be really, really limited. New Pope and Young Ethic book is out. You can read those. You can catch up on some of your back orders if you're a Pope and Young member. They're loaded with valuable information. And in the wintertime, those long winter nights gives you a lot of time to where you can digest what you read and really feel comfortable, and brings you up to current speed on what's going on around you. If you were planning a hunt, there's numerous, like I said, there's numerous outdoor shows going. This is a Cabela Outdoor Adventures. You can check into that, order your tag. Like I say, you can do all this stuff right from the convenience of your home. I mean, it's something that needs to be done. Another topic that you can do is get your trophy measured up. I have 3 gentlemen here that brought deers to me in the past week, and they're all measured up and ready to go into the mail. You had your 60-day drying period, and that's something you can be doing, locating a Pope and Young score or Boone and Crockett score, and getting that appointment made and get that animal in the book to recognize it as a trophy as it is. Other things you can do, turkey hunting season's just around the corner. You can go spend those gift cards that you got. People didn't know what to buy the hunter. You can go buy you some new turkey gear. That's something, you know, you don't have to put off. A lot of that stuff's on sale now. You can get in there, and when you go to those big box stores, you can save quite a bit of money right now because they're trying to move some of that merchandise out, and you can make that dollar real strong in those aisles. So that's just a couple tips. Another thing for you food plotters, now's the time to order your 2015 seed. You can get in on a lot of specials that there's advertising, and you can pick up some real good quality seed for a discount price. But you got to move, and you got to move now. You can't procrastinate. And there again, you can do most of this stuff right from the comfort of your home. There are hunting seasons. You can still be hunting coyotes, you can be hunting squirrels, you can be hunting rabbits. A multitude of small game that still goes on here in Iowa, clear up to February 28th. Coyotes, a continuous season. You know, groundhog is the same situation. Now I know that's going to be pretty hard for your undertaking for some of the people with a bow, and they gravitate to the gun, but that's getting them outside. But if you take anything with a bow is a trophy, whether it be a squirrel, rabbit, or a coyote. So your season is not ended. Other things that you can do when you're sitting around bored, you can, if you have a younger child in there, or if you're going to Colorado and you're born after the, let's see, the cutoff date's 1950, so from 1950 on, you're going to need a hunter safety card. So it's time now to go and get enrolled into a class or take it online and get that out of the way, so that when you want to buy your tag, you have that information, you know, with you that you passed those courses. So it's just things like that, planning ahead. Some of you may be in the market to buying a new bow. They're out. This is 2015 Hoyt brochure. And not, you know, I don't have a preference for any bows as long as I can shoot them. I'm a finger shooter, so I gravitate to a Hoyt because they still make a 45-inch axle-to-axle bow, and that's right down my alley. So now is the time to look at that new product and see if that'll enhance you, or something you may be interested in doing, and it gives you plenty of time to get acclimated to your new equipment. Now, there's other things you can do right in the comfort of your home. You can repair some of your hunting apparel. I've had this vest for quite a few years, and I tore the zipper out of it this year. It's I don't know how old this vest is, but it's been with me for quite a while. So what I'm going to do with this, instead of trying to take that zipper out myself, I will take it to my local tailor, and they do a good job. They'll take that zipper out. It's time to get this done. Just don't throw it in the clothes hamper or your hunting bag and forget about it, because next year when October 1st or November 1st rolls around, it's still going to be broke. Same way with everybody suffers these, and you can see on my coveralls here, I've had these mended. I get these 3-corner tears, some of that cauliflower rose. It's just like razors. It cuts those little nice 3-corner tears. I got to get my seamstress or myself. You can get these iron-on patches and give new life to your hunting clothes. Don't let them, they're tore. All that tear is going to do is get bigger, and then you'll basically ruin a set of good camel. So get that addressed. Like I say, it's not an uncommon thing for men to sit down with a needle and a thread when they don't have anything else to do, and sew these 3-corner tears up. And it's something that has to be done, or other than that you're going to ruin the complete article of clothing. So it's never a moment goes by that you cannot be advancing your hunting strategies, or your self-worth, or mending whether it's your clothes or your equipment. Now's the time to be doing it, and it's a never-ending list. If you want to come up with some new clothes, like the wife made me, she took one of these old polar fleece vests, sewed these pockets in there. I can drop those handbags in right where your kidneys are. I got several of those pockets in here, inner ones, outer ones. It doesn't take long to sew that on there, that little pocket on there. And I'll tell you what, on a cold morning, when you put this on next to your long underwear, you're warm all day. I mean, it's just amazing what you can do for yourself with very little expense and just some Yankee ingenuity. Another thing, you can go over your bows, check it for cracked limbs, whether you had a problem with it or not. You can get it into the bow hospital and get an expert looking at it and get it resolved. And by all means, on these new modern day bows with the fast flight systems and all that, and especially with the different kind of limb style, you're better off to take that back to a pro shop. They're more rehearsed in the product. They can get it fixed, and get it fixed right the first time. So that's something that you need to do outside the basement, but a lot of stuff, like I say, you can do right in the comfort of your home. A couple things that you can do: if you harvested a bear last year and you kept the paw, you can boil that bear out, glue it back together, and you make quite a conversation piece out of it. That's a bear claw, and basically it was all, the bones were separated, and you just take your time and glue them all back together, and you could have a heck of a necklace with it, or an earring, It's, but just something you can do. And on that same topic, you can make some real good conversation pieces if you kept the bones, the shoulder bones, and you kept those. You take and boil them out and put them back together, and you got the front leg of a 340-pound Canadian black bear. And a little bit of innovation, bending up a rod, put it on there, it makes a nice conversation piece. So there's always something you can do. It's time consuming, but winter's time consuming too. So there's no use of just sitting around being bored. This keeps you in the hunt, and when you get done, you got a trophy that very few people have. And there again, I take these to shows, people are dumbfounded that you'd go to that time to make that, but they're also awestruck at how cool it looks. And just things you can do with minimal amount of expense and a whole lot of enjoyment. And that's just some of the things you can do right in the comfort of your own home. So we'll take you outside and we'll go over some things that you can do on the down season. Another thing you can do, you can get your trail cameras ready, new batteries in them, and you can do that in the comfort of home. And you can get them out and start looking for the shed antler drop, and that's basically just around the corner to where you'll start hunting for these guys. And so that's going to keep you back in the field. I just videotaped a bunch of bucks last Wednesday night, and they were still carrying pretty good headgear. So I don't like to get out there until at least the first week of February, because there's no use of wearing yourself out and traversing over the same terrain over and over and over again. I would rather go once and hope for the best, instead of that way I'm not repeating going over the same ground. So, but that's in the near future, and that will be an outside activity. Another activity that you can do inside is, you all know that, and I'll take you over here. There's the most dreaded weapon in the arsenal, the treadmill. But I went over that a few years ago. If you're not in physical shape, you're not going to hunt very well. But that can be done right in the comfort of your home, or you can, if you need the motivation, you can go join a gym and do it there also. So like I said, equipment, improving it, mounting trophies, physical conditioning, all can be done right in the convenience of your home. So now we're going to go outside and go over a few things that can be done in the outdoors if weather's permitting. Well, we're outside here today. This is the 20th of January. Last week, a week ago on Tuesday, I filmed some deer up here on this bean field. And in the morning it was 6 below, and I think we had a high of 20. And the week before that, I believe on the 7th, it was like 4 below was the high, and a wind chill was around 30 mile an hour, 40 mile an hour wind, and you've seen that last video. But what we're up here for is to show you the season never ends. I'm going to take you through some of the fields that we planted, and you'll be able to see some of the browsing pressure that was created. And that's part of still hunting. That gives you a knowledge of what to plant next fall, how much to plant, what works and what didn't work. So we'll meander down through here, and you can get a glance of what the deer did here on these food plots. Now keep in mind, and I want to make this absolutely clear, I've never planted these food plots to specifically kill a white-tailed deer. I hunt them very scarcely. Most of my deer that I've killed in my life were never on a food plot. My purpose of planting the food plot is to enhance the overall ecosystem in an area that was completely neglected. Now a lot of people bastardize me for that, and that's their choice. But they ought to be praising me, because without people like myself and good land stewardship and management, the deer quality that they're bound to kill off would really go down. With our efforts as land managers and stewardship, we help raise the quality of that deer in our efforts of giving back. So don't think that at no time have I ever planted a food plots thinking I was going to kill a big buck off of it. Because from the night crawlers to the birds that eat the worms to the turkeys, the the honeybees, the songbirds, you name it, everything benefits from these, and that's why I plant them. So let's get to going out and looking at them, and we'll see how they're coming along and what kind of pressure they had. Now as you look down here, you can see the cobless corn. That corn there has been completely consumed, and this whole field has been ravished. you would be hard pressed to find one cob of corn in here. And basically that's due because of the harsh November that we had. The deer got in here early and they fed heavily in here. You can still see the cobs on the stalks, but it was really cold November, and this was one of the only standing cornfields that was available, and with the carbohydrate and fat intake, they really chowed down. There won't be no corn picking video in this year, which is all right with me because it served its purpose. Last year there was a large cornfield to the west of my property, and they did a lot of grazing over there. This year it was completely consumed. It grew good corn, as you can tell. As you look at these, there should have been an ear of corn there, and it's been completely devoured. So it did its purpose, but it got hit hard early. Now, as you see this hidden bean field, it's surrounded by corn. It still has a tremendous amount of forage on it in the form of beans. It's a secluded bean field that you planted right in the middle of the cornfield. I got 2 of those like that. There's plenty beans still on these stalks, and so they're gonna really endure the weather quite well. There's been some shattering going on, but there's still a lot of beans still in the pods. And that's what you're looking for today, to see if your plan played out. And in this little area, it played out real well. Lots of beans, almost untouched so far this year, and it's the 20th of January. This right here is a black locust thornwood tree. This is where I do a lot of videotaping over the cornfield and the bean field. I left that tree, which more is an undesirable tree to most farmers because of the thorns that get in their tires. But it's a food source, and you can notice up there, I have my tree stand up there, and there's my camera mount, and that's where I videotape a lot of those deer that you've seen on these fields. I can only do that with a northeast and a pure north or an east wind. Other than that, my scent would be blowing right out on the field. So that's the setups up there in that thornwood tree, looking out straight out to the east. You notice those bean pods laying there? I don't know how many deer have ventured in here while I've been on that stand and gravitate to those bean pods. At another food source that most people probably overlook, but the deer don't. Now as we get over here, you can see on the ground the soybeans that have actually, the pods have shattered, and the beans are on the ground. But that's all right, because those deer will gravitate to that and eventually consume every one of them. Now this field out here in front of you gets grazed on quite heavily, and you notice the bean pods are a lot less popular on the stalk right now. A lot of them have been eaten off, and like I say, they really gravitate onto this field, as you've seen in the video. As I walk down through here, I noticed there's very little new track on this field. It's like they've moved off to a different field right now. Once the snow cover come off and the alfalfa and the adjoining hay fields around the property, that new growth is there, and they've gravitated to that more so than the beans right now. And one of the main reasons I can tell they've not been here is because we've had some real warm weather, and there's no new track in this mud. It's real soft, and this is old track. It stalled out at evening, and if there would have been a lot of deer like they were when it had snow cover on here, this would be churned up like a barnyard. And all this track right now is old. So that tells me that they're not using this bean field right now, but they will gravitate back to it if we still got a lot of winter left. And once the green grasses get covered up again, they'll be back. That hedge apple tree, if you remember, it was heavily laden with new hedge balls. Those deer were gravitated to that, and we're going to walk up here, and I can guarantee you there's not a hedge ball left on the ground. And that thing had a bumper crop. You can see how this is beaten down. The hedge apples are basically non-existent. You can still see a few of them that have been grazed on, but for the most part, whatever hit the ground, you can tell they've been heavily consumed. That's something I think a lot of people didn't realize until I shed some light on that. That hedge apple, I mean, it's a delicacy to the deer. They'll consume the whole thing. So it might not be good for cattle or horses because they'll swallow it whole and choke to death. But for deer, you can just see all that residue that once was hedge apples is completely consumed. And I'll tell you, that tree up there, it had a tremendous amount of apples on it this year. If gravitated right into this area on that tree, and there's quite a bit of poop, just a natural food source that a lot of people overlook. There was a broken branch where they were twisting it around, and I left that tree here purposely when I came in here years ago to develop the ground, because they always scrape under it. So make sure you go slow and observe, because if I had taken that tree out, I really would have taken out a good food source and a good place for a social scrape that's always been underneath that tree. Now you can see in the background that black locust tree, or honey locust, whatever you want to call it. That's where I got to stand at. That's my observation point. As you've seen, the deer will gravitate clear from this end of the field all the way up there, and would offer you a shot if you was to take one. But that makes an ideal observation point that far away. And that way when they come out here with the north wind or east wind, they don't got a clue you're around. And that's what we're out here for today. We went from our basement with things to do in there. If you get a warm day like today, it's time to get out in the field and do some observation. Now here's another large bean field. We got 4 bean fields on this area. And these beans over here are tremendous. They're still tremendous. Now just over here to my left, right over here, right behind me, was where I videotaped those large bucks last week, a week ago today, in that cold weather. They browsed right along that corn over there. But we have a tremendous still amount of beans that's still standing. And that'll come into play. We still got the rest of January, all February, and March. And that's what I'm trying to do, is make sure the wildlife in this area has plenty of food to sustain a good quality of life. Nest doesn't have a thing about killing. This is about growing. From the day we plant the seed until the fawn drops its, until the doe drops its fawn in the spring. That way the does go into winter that much better, come in the spring when they birth. Their milk's going to be a better grade. They're going to have more fat on them. That makes their fawns going to be just that much more healthier. And there again, in the back there is the black locust tree. But there is a lot of beans still on the stalk here, and they haven't shattered. That's a nice thing about modern day technology. They can almost make a shatterproof bean. Years ago, those beans would have probably froze, dropped, split, and been on the ground, which the deer would have still dug out. But it's just nice that they're still staying on the stalk, or the stem, whatever you want to call it. Now there's a much better picture of what I was talking about. That's fresh mud, but those aren't fresh tracks. So the deer have gravitated to something greener pastures right now. They still eat some of this sorghum in here off the power plant. I've seen them in here eating the tops of them off that didn't get gleaned off. There's still quite a bit. They'll come in there and eat those tops off. You know, especially they're up out of the out of the snow. If we get a heavy snow, that'll be their next food source that they can gravitate to. But they're basically on greener pastures right now. Remember, this is January 20th. The hunting season's been closed for 10 days. Another thing you want to be doing is getting those stands down, especially those ones with a nylon strap holding them. And we'll get that down. Yeah, another important thing you want to make sure you do in the wintertime when you got plenty of time. These are Lone Wolf stands, some of the best stands on the market. But you want to order new straps at least every other year, maybe 3 years at the most, depends how much you leave them in the field. Go online, get a hold of Lone Wolf. Ever how many stands you need to get new straps. Because ladies and gentlemen, it's this little strap that holds you up there in that tree. And thank God Lone Wolf has put integrity into this material, where some of that Japanese stuff made in the Republic of China, you can go like that and break it right into it, dry rots. But these are pretty strong, but you're putting your life on this little strap. It's winter time, hunting season's still on. That's what we're talking about today, things you should be doing. Get your straps ordered, so next year you don't say, oh, I should have did that, but I'm going to go hang stands. This is the first line of safety right here, is new straps. Get that done today. Yeah, I set this blind up to see if I could get a turkey. Well, that didn't happen, so it's time to get it out of there. Ain't no use leaving it there all winter. Well, if you remember, the last time you seen this pure attraction field, the pure attraction was higher than these muck boots. It was basically right at between 20, 24 inches tall. It was all the way up to my knee. Now you can pan around here and see the grazing pressure that went on here. This was la-la land for those deer, and they gravitated to it in November. It was still green, and there were so many deer up here, I could never get up here. It just looked like, well, it looked like what you wanted. And as I come up here and I'll pan around, they've gleaned it down uniformly. The whole field has been cropped right down to the ground. They ate all those forage oats, brassicas, winter peas, whatever. It looks like a lawnmower went through there. And there was tons and tons and tons of forage on there at the beginning of October, as you've seen. It was lush green and over the top of those muck boots. But that's what we're out here today for. Like I say, your hunting season never ends. You're out here planning for 2015 for what you're going to plant here. Gives you an idea of what kind of population of deer you have that would graze it down like that. But you only know that by getting off your backside and getting back out in the field. And if you missed a deer, suck it up and go on and start your hunt right now for fall 2015. But that's some awesome grazing pressure that went on here, folks. For like I say, from that last picture that we'll show you to now, it's amazing. Hey Adam, here's one of those cameras we were talking about when you asked me. I probably got cameras out there, I can't even remember. Well, here's one, and it's a cutty back, so the footage will probably be shit. And I want to emphasize that. Do not buy cutty back cameras. They are the worst cameras. They're junk. And why they keep putting their name on junk is beyond me. And I think when they started out they had credibility, but right now their credibility is in the shitter, especially with those black flash cameras. If you ain't 2 feet from it, it don't work. What a piece of overrated crap. Well, I just set that camera up on that tree right there. Right there's my gear. That's no more than 20 yards away from that tree. I was walking up here. And you remember I said on the onset I wasn't really looking for antlers, which I ain't. But lo and behold, look what's laying right there in front of us. A match set.
Unbelievable. And them babies are fresh, 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 fresh. Look at that. I mean, that bird there. Here. There they are right there. That's all right. You found them right along with me. Just laying there perfect. Got a little stick over this one. They say they look like they've been laying there for a while. That's the first human hand that touched that, and you touched it right along with me. So that brand new, bud. I mean, that is awesome. Well, at least we know he made it through the onslaught. Sort of a weird looking dude, but it's a matched pair, and it's about 26 matched pairs now that I've found. And thank you, Lord. Now that's a find for the day. Things to be doing instead of sitting around the house. And I didn't come out here to look for these sheds, but look at that. Fresh sheds, brand white. All right, the first set of the year. They were right along that power plant. Only like 10 yards, and they were right in here out of the power plant. Dropped them both right there. He may have bedded there. What a find, what a find. And you found them right along with me. Keep in mind, folks, just last week, a week ago today, it was 6 below zero down here, and it was all snow covered. Now, as you can see where I mowed these trails, there's new growth of that grass and clover coming up in there, and that's what these deer are going to gravitate to, is that brand new green grass and the clovers that are in there. But like I said, just a week ago, it would have been, take 7 to the 13th. Yeah, it would have been the 13th. I was out videotaping those bucks up on that bean field, and now that's dried up basically because they're going to gravitate to the new green growth that was buried under that snow. Some more observation. I'll probably get in here this spring and clean some more of this out. This is low ground, has no food value whatsoever, and I can get in here and make my plans now of rooting this out and making more food available. Because like I say, you can look in there, they're not bedding in there, it's just a waste of space. But with a little bit of skid steer time, you can create some lush food growth in there. Yeah, it wouldn't take me much more than a day to clean this out. But that's what you're looking for in the off seasons. How you can improve your land and your hunting. So let's go on up here a ways. Here we are on that imperial white-tailed clover. Remember the last time I took that video, it was late September, 1st of October. Here it is right now. It's down to my hand. At the beginning of the hunting season, was every bit that tall, 12 to 13 inches tall. Now it's cropped right to the ground. That's some grazing pressure. That's why you got to keep on keeping on and observing. There's no off season for the hunter. You keep looking at what you did, look at the results, go check them, and then keep pushing the envelope. Never stop. Now next year I'm going to improve it over here, make it bigger because there's a lot of grazing pressure. The main thing I want to do is stimulate you to get off of this and get on your feet and get back out in the field. And if you can't get out in the field, get in your basement like we did this morning. There's a variety of things that need to be addressed. There's never an off season. Just keep on hunting, and by that it doesn't mean time in the field. It's observation. I was lucky we picked those shed antlers up together today. I didn't even have a clue that I'd find them. But that's just nice to share with the viewers on this channel. And as you can see, the Field of Dreams, it really got used. I set this field 2 times in late November. I could have shot a deer off of it, but it was a small buck. But like I said on the onset, it's not about killing, it's about finding them shed antlers and stuff like that, and knowing that you put something back more than you took. Because there's too many takers today out there in the hunting world, and too many celebrities with the gotta kill mentality, and you're not looking at one of them, I can tell you that right now, Jack. You're looking at the real deal. And like I said, I told you I'd come back and share this field with you after the basically hunting season is over. Now there's plenty of new green growth, and I'm going to show you that right now. You see that new green growth down in there? Them deer will come out, and that's really tender, and they will nibble that right on down. But as you can see, they've did a pretty good job of nibbling it down already compared to what it looked like going into the hunting season. But that's all about giving back, folks, not being a taker. And to me, to stand on this field, and I had several cameras on there, and just last week we changed these cameras out, and the deer were still on here eating it in the snow. And here I am out here today. Snow's all gone. It's about 50 degrees difference in temperature, and this food plot did its job, the field of dreams. The hunting season may be over, the killing season, or whatever you want to call it, it may be over, but the hunting season never ends. It's a 365-day venue, and you can, every day you can be involved with some aspect of hunting, whether it be political, going to banquets, getting your gear in shape. We talked about all that this morning. Getting your passports, coming out and observing what you got done last year and seeing the results. Well, that's it from the field, from the non-typical Milwaukeean, January 20th, 2015.